Money doesn't just change a man, it exposes him. It reveals his habits, his discipline, his mindset, and most importantly, his weakness. Because when money enters your life, one question decides your future. Will you consume or will you build? That is a line between weak men and strong men. Weak men waste money. Strong men build wealth. Weak men spend to feel important. Strong men save, invest, and sacrifice to become powerful. And in today's world, this difference is destroying lives. Because too many men are chasing the image of success while avoiding the process that creates it. They want the lifestyle without the discipline. They want luxury without patience. They want rewards without responsibility. So the moment they get paid, they spend, not because they need to, but because they are emotionally controlled. And that's the truth most men don't want to hear. Being broke is not always about income. Sometimes being broke is about a lack of self-control. A weak man sees money and thinks, what can I buy right now? A strong man sees money and thinks, how can I use this to build my future? That one mindset shift changes everything. Because wealth is not built in one big moment. It is built in small, invisible decisions no one applauds. It's built when you say no to the unnecessary purchase. It's built when you stop trying to impress people. It's built when you choose long-term freedom over short-term pleasure. That's what strong men understand. They know every dollar has a mission. Every dollar can either make you stronger or make you weaker. It can either build your future or feed your addiction to comfort. And weak men are addicted to comfort. They spend when they're bored. They spend when they're stressed. They spend when they feel insecure. They spend because they want to feel like somebody. But money was never meant to fix your identity. Money was meant to be a tool. And if you use a tool like a toy, don't be surprised when your life stays broken. That's the problem today. Too many men use money for entertainment instead of elevation. They buy the expensive shoes, the flashy watch, the newest phone, the car they can't afford, the lifestyle they haven't earned. Why? Because they want to look rich. But looking rich and being wealthy are two completely different things. A lot of broke men look successful, and a lot of wealthy men look ordinary. That's because weak men buy status. Strong men buy time. Weak men want attention now. Strong men want freedom later. And freedom requires discipline. It requires sacrifice. It requires the ability to say, I don't need this right now. That sentence alone can save a man's future. Because most financial pain doesn't come from one huge mistake. It comes from hundreds of small emotional decisions repeated over time. That daily coffee you don't think about, that random online order, that impulse purchase, that need to reward yourself every weekend. It all adds up, and slowly your future starts leaking. That's why weak men stay trapped. Not because they never had opportunity, but because they kept trading their future for temporary feelings. A strong man doesn't do that. He understands that every unnecessary expense is delayed freedom. Every wasted dollar is time he has to work again. Every bad habit is a chain, and he refuses to live in chains. That's why he moves differently. He doesn't need to show off. He doesn't need people to know what he's building. He doesn't need validation from social media, because he understands something most men never learn. Real wealth is quiet. It doesn't scream. It doesn't beg for attention. It doesn't need approval. It grows in silence. That's why strong men are often underestimated. While everyone else is posting, flexing, and performing, they're planning, saving, investing, learning, working, building a life that doesn't need filters to look valuable. And that's real power. Because when a man stops spending to impress others, he finally starts building for himself. That's when he becomes dangerous. That's when he stops being a slave to trends, opinions, and emotional decisions. That's when money stops controlling him, and he starts controlling money. A lot of men think wealth starts when they make more. No, wealth starts when you waste less. It starts when you stop acting rich and start thinking strong. It starts when you stop asking, what do I want today? And start asking, what do I want my life to look like 5 years from now? That is maturity. That is masculinity. That is discipline. Because a weak man lives for today. A strong man builds for tomorrow. And if you want to become wealthy, you have to kill the weak mindset inside you, the mindset that wants comfort over control, the mindset that wants image over independence, the mindset that wants to feel rich instead of becoming free. That version of you is expensive. That version of you will keep you stuck. That version of you will sabotage every paycheck, every opportunity, and every chance to rise. So, if you're serious about becoming stronger, then stop treating money like a reward. Start treating it like a responsibility. Stop asking how to look successful. Start asking how to become unshakable. Stop feeding your ego. Start funding your future. Because one day, your habits will either build your freedom or build your regret. And by then, it will be too late to blame the world. Weak men waste money. Strong men build wealth. And the difference isn't luck. It's discipline. It's vision. It's sacrifice. It's the ability to deny yourself now so you can own your life later. That's the standard. That's the mindset. That's the path. So the next time money enters your hands, ask yourself, am I buying comfort or am I building power? Because every dollar is a decision, and every decision is shaping the man you are becoming. Most men don't lose their future in one big moment. They lose it slowly, quietly, daily, through habits that feel harmless, but are destroying them from the inside. That is how financial weakness works. It doesn't always show up as poverty. Sometimes it shows up as a man who earns well, but owns nothing. A man who works hard, but stays stuck. A man who looks successful, but is one emergency away from collapse. And that is dangerous, because a lot of men are not building wealth. They are just maintaining appearances. They are surviving on income, but dying in mindset. And if you never fix your mindset, more money will not save you. It will only magnify your bad habits. If you are undisciplined with little, you will be reckless with a lot. That's why strong men don't just chase income. They build identity. They become the kind of man who can hold money without letting money control him. That is the real goal, because wealth is not just about numbers. It's about becoming stable in a world full of temptation. It's about learning how to stay focused when everything around you is designed to make you spend, compare, chase, and consume. Think about the modern world. Every app wants your attention. Every ad wants your money. Every trend wants your insecurity. Every platform wants you to feel behind. Why? Because insecure men are easier to sell to. A man who doesn't know who he is will buy almost anything to feel like he matters. That's why weak men spend emotionally. They buy when they feel low. They buy when they feel left behind. They buy because they think the next thing will finally make them feel complete. But it never does, because the whole is not financial. The whole is internal. And no amount of spending can fix a man who hasn't built himself. That's why strong men work on the root. They don't just fix the budget. They fix the behavior. They fix the habits. They fix the emotional weakness that keeps pulling them back into the same cycle. Because if your emotions control your wallet, your future will always be unstable. A weak man says, I work hard, I deserve this. A strong man says, I work hard, so I need to protect this. That is a completely different mentality. One man celebrates every paycheck by destroying it. The other uses every paycheck, like a brick, to build a fortress. And over time, that difference becomes massive. One man stays trapped in the cycle of earning and spending. The other builds peace, builds security, builds options. That's what wealth really is. Not just money in the bank, but breathing room, the ability to handle pressure without panic, the ability to say no to things that don't align with your future, the ability to walk away from bad jobs, bad environments, bad decisions, because you build a financial backbone. That is power. And power doesn't come from flexing. It comes from restraint. It comes from being able to hold yourself back when the weak version of you wants instant pleasure. That's where most men fail. Not in the gym, not at work, but in private, in the small moments, when no one is watching, when the urge hits, when the impulse shows up. That's where wealth is either built or broken. Because every time you say no to unnecessary spending, you are training yourself. You are becoming stronger. You are proving that your future matters more than your feelings. And that is what separates men from boys. Boys spend for excitement. Men build for freedom. Boys chase image. Men chase ownership. Boys want people to think they're winning. Men want to actually win. And real winning is not loud. It's not flashy. It's not always visible. Sometimes real winning looks boring. It looks like discipline. It looks like consistency. It looks like saying no over and over again until your life starts changing. That's what people don't understand. Wealth is not sexy in the beginning. It is repetitive. It is quiet. It is uncomfortable. But later it becomes peace. Later it becomes confidence. Later it becomes the ability to live on your terms. And that is worth every sacrifice. So if you want to become a strong man, stop asking how to feel rich. Start asking how to become free. Stop rewarding weakness. Stop feeding impulse. Stop financing the version of you that keeps sabotaging your future. Because every day you either train discipline or train destruction. Every purchase is a vote. Every habit is a direction. Every decision is shaping your identity. Weak men waste money because they want comfort now. Strong men build wealth because they understand one brutal truth. If you do not suffer with discipline today, you will suffer with regret tomorrow. And regret is always more expensive. There comes a moment in every man's life when he has to face the truth. No excuses, no distractions, no pretending, just truth. And the truth is this: a lot of men are not poor because life beat them. They are poor because they never learned how to beat themselves. Their impulses, their ego, their addiction to comfort, their need to feel good today, even if it destroys tomorrow. That is the real enemy, not the economy, not bad luck, not other people. You, the undisciplined version of you, the weak version of you, the version that keeps saying, I'll start saving next month. I'll invest when I make more. I'll get serious later. Later? Later is where weak men hide, because later feels safe. Later delays responsibility. Later protects the ego from the pain of change. But strong men don't build their future on later. They build it on now. Now is where wealth begins. Now is where discipline is tested. Now is where your identity is forged. Because if you cannot handle $100 with discipline, you will never handle $100,000 with wisdom. That's the brutal truth. Money doesn't create character. It exposes it. And if your habits are broken, money will only reveal how unprepared you really are. That's why strong men focus less on looking successful and more on becoming solid. They build habits before luxury, structure before status, control before comfort, because they understand something powerful. You cannot build wealth with a weak mind. A weak mind always wants escape. It wants easy pleasure. It wants instant reward. It wants to feel rich without becoming valuable. And that mindset is poison. Because every time you spend emotionally, you are telling yourself, my feelings matter more than my future. That is a dangerous message to repeat. Because eventually, your habits become your identity. And your identity becomes your destiny. That's why strong men become ruthless with their standards. They stop making emotional financial decisions. They stop trying to impress people who are broke in spirit. They stop buying things that lose value the moment they touch them. And instead, they start building, piece by piece, dollar by dollar, month by month, quietly, relentlessly. That's how real wealth is built, not through hype, not through luck, but through discipline repeated long enough to change your life. And yes, it's hard. It's hard to say no when everyone else is saying yes. It's hard to stay focused when the world is addicted to distraction. It's hard to build in silence when weak people only respect what they can see. But that is why so few men ever make it. Because most men want the reward, without becoming the man who deserves it. Strong men are different. They are willing to be uncomfortable now, so they can be unstoppable later. They are willing to live below their means while building above average lives. They are willing to sacrifice pleasure for power. And that is why they rise. Because the truth is simple. You will either discipline your money, or your lack of discipline will punish you. One path leads to freedom. The other leads to stress, dependence, and regret. So decide who you are, not with words, not with dreams, not with motivation, but with your habits, with your spending, with your choices. Because every time money enters your hand, your character gets tested. And every test is revealing the same thing. Are you a man who consumes everything, or a man who can build something? Weak men waste money. Strong men build wealth. And if you truly want to become powerful, then stop chasing a life that looks rich and start building a life that makes you free. That is where your real transformation begins. At the end of the day, wealth is not just about money. It's about the kind of man you become while building it. Because money is never the real battle. You are your habits, your discipline, your patience, your self-control, your ability to say no when comfort is calling your name. That is where the war is won. And most men lose at war long before they ever lose money. They lose when they stop thinking long-term. They lose when they start chasing image over independence. They lose when they let emotion make decisions that discipline should be making. And then one day, they wake up older, tired, frustrated, wondering where all their time and money went. That is the price of weakness. Not just being broke, but becoming the kind of man who never built anything real. No foundation, no ownership, no freedom, no control, just consumption, just excuses, just wasted years. And if that truth hits hard, good, because pain is useful when it wakes you up. This is your wake-up call. No one is coming to save your finances. No one is coming to build your future for you. No one is going to magically hand you wealth, discipline, or freedom. You have to earn it, decision by decision, habit by habit, day by day. That is how strong men are made, not in comfort, not in shortcuts, but in sacrifice, in restraint, in silent discipline that nobody claps for. That is where your power lives. So from this point forward, move differently. Stop buying things that feel important. Start building things that make you undeniable. Stop spending money like it will always come back. Start treating every dollar like a tool, a weapon, a seed. Because if you plant wisely today, you will live differently tomorrow. That's how wealth is built. Not fast, not flashy, but strong. And strong lasts. That's what weak men never understand. They want speed. Strong men want foundation. They want peace. They want options. They want a life where they are no longer controlled by bills, pressure, panic, or survival. That is real success. Not looking rich, not sounding successful, not performing for the world, but becoming free in real life. So remember this whenever temptation shows up. Weak men waste money because they want to feel powerful for a moment. Strong men build wealth because they want to become powerful for life. That is the difference. That is the standard. That is the mindset you must carry from this day forward. Because one day, your bank account will reflect your discipline. Your future will reflect your habits. And your life will reveal which version of you won. The weak one or the strong one. Choose wisely. Because every dollar you touch is building your destiny.